Hello, my name is Angelica Thomas and I am doing my contemporary sculpture presentation over Do-Ho-Suh. About Do-Ho-Suh. He was born in South Korea in 1962. He earned his Bachelor's of Fine Arts and his Master's of Fine Arts in Oriental Painting at Seoul National University. He then earned another Bachelor of Fine Arts in Painting at Rhode Island School of Design in 1994 and a Master's of Fine Arts in Sculpture from Yale University in 1997. He is best known for using his sculpture to visually defy a sense of sight, specificity, and scale. To set the forms that he replicates preserve psychological energy that preserve experiences, culture, and a personal sense of security. Suh is interested in the pliability of space in both of its physical and metaphorical forms and examines how the body relates to, inhabits, and it interacts with that space. He also takes a special interest in domestic space and the way that the concepts of home can be articulated through architecture that has specific location, form, and history. This is called Rubbing Loving by Do-Ho-Suh. The site installation is located in the first and last place he lived in New York City. His artistic career really started within this apartment. And whoever's going to buy this old apartment is going to renovate the space, so he felt the need to visually process remembering the space and memorializing it as well. From his experience of moving to so many places, he feels that he must constantly recalibrate when relocating, and he tries to understand his life within these spaces as a movement. Like his many suitcase homes, he created this installation to be peeled away from the space but still hold its original form to the surface beneath them, the white vellum. He felt that this fabric version of the space were lacking in some areas because they were not actually able to take up the most intimate identity of the space. When he rediscovered the space by rubbing, he found that it was able to bring out the memories within even the smallest details of that apartment. His landlord always emotionally supported his artistic endeavors within that small apartment building, thus letting him produce such crazy work inside of its confinements. If anyone could write rubbing in Korean, many people would read this phrase as loving. This is due to the lack of distinction between the R and L in the Korean alphabet. He made this connection between rubbing and loving because he believes that the gesture that is rubbing is also very much a loving gesture as well. That is how the title for this piece came into fruition. The rubbings of the space show where his energy is most accumulated in the areas that are rubbed the most or holds the most memory, such as the doorknob and the locks are darker in color versus the surfaces that had hardly interaction during his time of living there. When staring at this piece from afar, it also looks like a drawing rather than a three-dimensional form. This sculpture is called Someone. It is a figure of an emperor's robe comprised of thousands of dog tags. Whenever he installs someone, he orients the piece so that the viewer will have to approach it from behind, so you will not be able to see the interior of the piece until you enter the room. This piece is unique in the way that you must walk on top of the dog tags that are on the floor and not around them. This is one of the many reasons why he needed such a permanent material for his sculpture. Do-Ho-Suh wanted the viewer to have an experience with these little dog tags, these thousands of little dog tags. It symbolizes each individual's identity. These many dog tags create this one larger-than-life figure. It's ambiguous to whether you're a part of it or not, whether you are the owner of this robe when you see your own image over there. The reason why the mirror was included, it was the reason why the mirror was included inside of this piece. He became interested in the dog tag because it was a form of identification. It also was made out of stainless steel, which is a material that will not rust, hence being able to let the viewers walk on the piece. These dog tags were collected to be used in one of his very first sculptures, but he never got around to using them until now. He collected them from an Army-Navy surplus store in Cranston, Rhode Island, which also happened to be owned by an older Korean man. At this Army surplus store, they make dog tags specifically for you. This older gentleman gave him many dog tags for free due to having a large collection of rejects filled with misspellings. Then he gave the blank dog tags to Suh for a very low price and let him use a typewriter made especially for dog tags. in Korea, it is mandatory for every male to go into the military, so it was actually quite different from the United States because Korean men know from the day that they are born that they will have to serve in the military. The whole Korean military program was basically pushing your psychological needs and your psychological and physical limits to the extreme so you could actually kill someone. This whole process was very personally difficult for Sa to swallow. Being in the military made Do-ho-sa experience what it was actually meant to be dehumanized. American military equipment brings up these memories for Do-ho-sa because it is essentially the same equipment that they use in Korea. And because the military equipment is illegal to own in Korea, they seem to fetishize it a bit more than Americans. Many people had different interpretations of this piece as it reminds them of ancient Korean war general suit of armor, or even the statue of Christ in Rio de Janeiro. He likes to leave his sculpture more open to interpretation for his own curiosity of others. This project started from a need to fulfill a certain desire after graduating from Rhode Island School of Design. In New York, after he went to grad school at Yale, he was living in a small apartment which was located straight across from a fire station. It was so noisy that he raised the question, when was the last time that he had a decent night of sleep? He goes to say, at some point in your life you have to leave your home, and whenever you go back it's just not the same home anymore, and I think home is something that you carry along with you in your life, and that's what I mean by saying it's something that you can repeat over and over again. He then realized that the last time he received a decent night of sleep was within his small childhood bedroom located in Seoul, Korea. So this project started with the longing to bring that space into the NYC apartment. However, he did not have enough time, money, or space to complete this project until 1999. The experience was about transporting one place to another, a way of cultural displacement. He said that he never really got homesick, but felt a longing to bring that space with him everywhere he goes. So he utilized a fabric material so that it would be able to compact into suitcases and travel with him to various locations. He just dealt with this issue visually in a physically minimal way. It's like a light fabric thing that can recreate the ambiance of a space. Do-ho-sa didn't want to sit down and cry for home. He wanted to more actively deal with these issues of longing, so he decided not to be sad about it, to just want to go with it, to just want to carry it with him all the time. Creating this piece was also a very meaningful experience for him as well. In order to capture the details of the fabric material, he had to measure out each fine detail in the space. This brought out memories from his childhood because he was able to rediscover the small markings he made as a child. Going through this process really made the space and the sculpture feel as if they were a part of him. He chose the color jade because it was the color of the ceiling paper in the room. In traditional Korean homes, the walls are typically plain white color, and then they use a jade or a sky blue color for the ceiling paper. These colors in the ceiling paper symbolize the sky or the universe. The house that was his childhood home was meant for a scholar, so whenever someone studies in there, they are meant to think about the universe or a bigger space. This piece is a 1-to-1 scale fabric version of the first small narrow staircase that connected his apartment to his landlord's place. The horizontal fabric that makes up the ceiling of the sculpture was designed to fit in that particular space. In that space, there are beautiful skylights that provide a different experience to the piece's viewers at different times of the day. Do-ho-sa is very interested in these transitional spaces, like bridges, stairs, or doors, because they connect two spaces while simultaneously separating the two spaces. He believes his interests are in these spaces that has to do with his experiences living in Korea and then moving to the United States. The cultural displacement allows him to see things in many different perspectives, so he has been more interested in these traditional spaces rather than destinations. One of his desires was to carry his memories of these intimate spaces with him wherever he goes, so the choice of fabric came naturally to him for this piece as well. This fabric allowed the piece to be easily folded and packed away so he could take it along with him to any place he goes. His work is very transparent, so you can actually see the enveloping space through his piece, and the transparency of his work allows the audience or visitors to see and comprehend the gallery space in a completely different way. Dohosa's piece, The Gate, is an installation piece that was created to be a part of the Seattle Art Museum exhibition, Luminous, The Art of Asia. He created the gate to reflect the Seattle Art Museum's collection and curate something that may give the audience insight about the core of Asian art. His personal history growing up in Korea and also an environment that he was exposed to these traditional cultures and so on and so forth in a way determined his aesthetics. He wanted to somehow capture the notion of Asian painting and the importance of a single brushstroke. He also did some time-lapse photography of his father's original gate. This photography captured sunlight and played in the play between light and dark on the gate itself. Then they overlaid this imagery onto the fabric gate. Doho was very interested in this notion of illusion versus reality, so this is this play of what we can and cannot tell, what is the real gate and what is the elusive fabric gate.
I'm Dohosa, originally from Seoul, Korea. Now I live and work in London. And I'm a sculptor, make large-scale installation pieces for a living. I moved to US in my late 20s, early 30s to go to school. Being in an uncomfortable place or culture helped me to think about or questions a very fundamental truth that I never questioned before when I was living in Korea. So it was not just about home, but identity as a Korean man.
I think it was 2005 when I had a kind of an official correspondence with him. I really was convinced that he could totally make use of our resources here in a collaboration. I was very, very confident about that.
I was able to start a new body of work with threads, which is the material that I use all the time for my larger installation fabric architecture pieces, and incorporating that thread to the paper making. It was just very simple suggestions that came out of the residency, and I took it further, and that's what happened.
He has done tons and tons of drawings. There are sketches, there are study drawings, which never really appeared in his career as in the forefront of his exhibitions or his practice. We started using the thread to sew them and transferring onto the paper. It really excited him, and I still remember the very day when we were looking at his first thread drawings of his staircase. I looked at him and he looked at me, and we didn't say anything, and then we're just like, wow, this is it. That was the moment. It was kind of a eureka moment.
The experience that I had at STPI working with the staff, it seems like everybody here has a very tight relationship between the staff, and that is fairly unique in my mind. So it's like a little family here. There's a fine balance between the sort of collaborative aspects of artist residency like this, and also trying to achieve, what artist wants to do. They're willing to help the artist to realize what they want, but they were not just submissive to the artist, they were also suggesting great things. I spend more time actually thinking and working on the two-dimensional pieces like drawings or prints. That's a probably influence of being at STPI. I'm very proud of the body of the work that I produced at STPI. and I want to continue to develop the things that I have discovered here.
This project is really, really special for us. The whole journey since 2008 to now, it's been a constant learning journey for both of us, and I think this really represents a true meaning of collaboration.
Here is my works cited, and thank you for watching.